Coach, thank you for joining us. We're just going to dive right in. Talk to me about your new pitching coach. You finally have a member on the staff. What does he bring to your staff, and what do you like about him?
Yeah, very excited about Coach Kelly, and the best way I can explain him, he is very complete in terms of his skill set to be an elite Division I pitching coach, and that part of the team is so important. It's like the offensive line in football. If they don't function right, it's hard to really win at the level we all want to win at. So he's excellent in the game. I've competed against him for a number of years. The things that stand out is he's a great pitch caller. His pitchers throw strikes, and they're incredibly prepared, with the right type of plan for their skill sets and opposing hitters' weaknesses. Does a good job in game management relative to picking, holding, all of those kinds of things. And then the development standpoint, I think that's where he really stands out in terms of he is one with good pitchers. And when he has a great pitcher, they always end up being, one of the better pitchers in college baseball. And there's a lot that goes into that. There's a lot of new things out there relative to technology, and a lot of people can talk about it. A lot of people don't really know how to use it or translate the information to their players. He excels at that and can create good pitch design, maybe extra pitch development through using, those measurables. And then the throwing program, to develop arm strength, for pitchers to develop another pitch, to develop arm health, to develop, a lot of ways they can create a template for getting outs, because that's what pitching is about, is to go out and get outs. And then probably the thing that stands out the most is the relationship part of it. He's a great person, and that will impact us. If he's going to develop our pitchers at a high level, that trust has to be built, and he's excellent at doing that. And that side of him will help us on the recruiting trail, and something we're really excited about. Very positive. One of the first things that I attacked, because the players here, they know that this can be part of it. And I contacted everybody within 48 hours, the players on the team, the commits, the guys that have signed in this 2021 class. The guys on the team kind of understand this is part of college athletics, these kind of transitions. But there's some uncertainty, for recruits and commits and those types of things. So I wanted to start building a foundation of communication, of me being available to them. And frankly, I'm really excited. I mean, this is LSU. It's a great program. But the team that is in place, the players that signed in 21, the guys that are verbally committed in 2022, that had a hand in me coming here. And I'm really excited about those groups and what we can cultivate as a team with a lot of them being at the center of that. Well, I think for me, I'm very convicted in that the college baseball path, the college experience, is what's best for the development of their baseball career. And regardless of signing bonus, you won't convince me otherwise. Now, the one thing that changes that for people sometimes is money. And I don't make judgments on what people's financial situations are. But when you look at the opportunity to play and compete in the SEC, to get developed by our coaching staff, to grow up as a man at your own pace, to get 3/4 of the way done with a college degree, to have a training ground of fall baseball, the spring at LSU, summer baseball in the Cape Cod League or Team USA, those are irreplaceable experiences, and those experiences will prepare the player better for professional baseball. And it's not about the draft. It should be about how do I get to and stay in major leagues for a long time. This experience can absolutely help them do that. So my personal feeling, is if a player is drafted in the first round, where an organization is going to make them the face of their draft and give them a signing bonus that is incredibly significant, then they can look at that. Still doesn't make going that route better for their baseball career, but that organization is going to make sure they're successful. After that, you're looking at a less than 50% chance of ever playing one day in the major leagues. And so all you have is what I would call a bag of money. And at this point in their life, that bag of money doesn't change their life for them. So it should be about what's best for their development. And I really believe in college baseball, and I believe college baseball at LSU is best for their development. Yeah, I was on a Zoom call with Brock last night and his family, and I've known them for a long time.
Did you recruit him in Arizona?
Oh yeah, yeah. I remember right where I was standing when he called me and said he was going to LSU. So it's kind of funny how we've circled back to this point. Great relationship, great athlete. I mean, moves really easy. He's a confident kid, very competitive, has all the makings of somebody that could be one of the best pitchers in college baseball and a top 10 overall pick out of LSU should he decide to come to college. A guy that can make an immediate impact, either in rotation or significant innings on the pitching staff. So I'm hopeful, but he has a lot of interest, from pro teams, and we're doing everything we can to put him in a purple and gold uniform, and I certainly hope that's the way that it goes. Well, I'm, again, another player that I'm very familiar with being on our side of the country, and I think Cale's really improved since he committed to LSU. And sky's the limit. Coach Maneri and their staff were very high on the contribution they thought he could make here and make immediately. Again, another confident kid, very excited to be at LSU, and very passionate about the opportunity that he has here. So, again, same as Brock, it's a guy that we want them as a family to stay convicted of what he could be. And he's a guy that I really believe that this path can help him create value for himself and better prepare him for professional baseball should he get those 36 months here at LSU. Well, I think they're very balanced relative to offense and defense, and I've had two of the best in college baseball the last 2 years with Austin Wells in 2020, first-round pick of the Yankees, and Daniel Susac. And both of these guys fit that kind of profile. I think the catching position is unique in the standpoint that a lot of guys don't sign out of high school and actually make it to the major leagues because that position is so important and experience is so important. So if you take a guy like Carter or Ian that come here and get the opportunity to play in the SEC, play in Omaha, handle a pitching staff, a high caliber pitching staff, take at bats against some of the best pitchers in the country with their talent and get that experience behind it. Now you're talking about really having something, Adley Rutschman from Oregon State a couple years ago. The list goes on of college catchers that have ascended to Major League Baseball and had long careers. So we're hopeful that those guys will choose that. I met Connor on Monday, and his just athletic frame really stood out to me. And I've heard great things about him, and he appears to be a really, really confident kid, and that's going to be really important. And laying a foundation of every position is up for grabs. We're going to start from scratch here. I mean, I owe that to the players, to the fans, to put the best team on the field. And so we're going to put together a great development plan where every day we'll have value in all of these guys improving. And ultimately, the guys that put the Tigers in the best position to win are going to be the ones that find themselves on the field and in those spots. So I'm excited about Connor and the future that he could have here at LSU. Yeah, I'll answer that part of it first. This is a great baseball state, and doing some initial and early research, I'm very excited to work with the coaches in the state to get the best players in Louisiana to LSU. In 2020, I actually came out and I spoke at the High School Coaches Association convention here in Louisiana, and was very impressed with the questions they asked and their passion for being really good. And it was a good trip. I'm glad I made it, especially now, to develop some connections, and really look forward over the next month to really start digging in with those guys. Once we get this roster in place, I can't wait to get to know those guys and want them to know, it's an open ticket out here to come see our program and to come out to practice and see how we're going to do things, and maybe they can take some things back to their players and better prepare their best players to come to LSU and be successful. Relative to, commits and those kinds of things, it can only, say so much. The initial observation is that Coach Maneri and his staff did a really good job of assembling a good foundation in that class. Started to make some contacts with some of those guys that had verbally committed, and we're off to a good start. And I'm excited to see those guys this summer as we get out on the road and get to know them better. Yeah, it's a great question. I think LSU is a place you can recruit nationally. We will certainly do some of that. I think, though, I learned a good message from the late Augie Garrido when he was at Texas. I went out to see him for a couple days, and he talked about when he went to Texas that he tried to bring guys from California because that's where his connections were. And they were good players, but the problem was he was leaving all the players right around him, and they were going to Texas A&M and Arkansas and TCU and LSU. And so they ended up competing against those guys. So it was like a double whammy of not having them on your team and then having to play against them. I think what you'll see is balance. I think when we go nationally or spread our wings to California or maybe the Northeast, that it will be for a very specific need, maybe a skill position type guy. And there's certainly a place for that. When you look at Vanderbilt, and we just played Vanderbilt in Omaha, there's 4 or 5 significant players from the West Coast on that team. Playing Ole Miss in the Super Regional, shortstops from California, the Friday starters from California. So there's a place for that at what I would call Tier 1 of the SEC right now. At the same time, we have to do a great job here in Louisiana, in Texas, and in the Southeast. And I'm actually really looking forward to that challenge, and expanding my network, because what we do have here is LSU baseball. And no matter who the coach is, young players are going to be attracted to LSU baseball. So those connections are already starting to happen, and it's a great challenge for me to dive into that and to take advantage of that. And we want to be balanced in our approach and putting the best roster we possibly can to be an Omaha and national championship caliber team. I think this is a great program. I think Skip is the gold standard of college baseball coaches. I talk about him as the John Wooden of college baseball. That's who Skip Bertman is to me, the best coach of my lifetime in college baseball. Coach Maneri did a terrific job. He won a national championship, went to Omaha 5 times. It's hard to get to Omaha. So with that being said, I have so much respect for those guys. And again, the job that they did is what made LSU attractive to me. As far as my style and energy and work ethic, that's all I know. That's who I am as a person. I think I value winning, and I value what it takes to win, and I want my effort, my thoughts, my work to be reflective of winning baseball, and how to get there is just as important as getting there, and I want that to permeate throughout the program to our players, recruits, our fans, and give LSU something they're really proud of when they look at this program. I think just that I'm invested, incredibly invested in this process of building a championship caliber program. Something I'm extremely proud of. I think this is the 5th college baseball program that I've been a part of. Every year we left as a championship team. And so leaving places better than I found it, relative to the result side of things, to the relationship side of things with the players, I think it's because I give everything I have to the program that I'm at, and that's what I've done. And that's something that I think that person would have been very proud of that effort, and that's what I'm going to bring to LSU. Great question. I think you start with talent, and what I mean by talent is those players have uncoachable skills or tools, is a word in baseball. Things that can really be developed if they're in the right development structure. So we want to recruit the most talented players that we possibly can. The next layer of that is being fundamentally sound. The things, winning baseball has been played the same way for a long period of time. And so if you look at a talented guy that does things that you just can't teach, that is fundamentally sound, now you're really starting to work with something. The internal part of it comes down to 2 things, the competitive side of it. We want to build a team that values winning more than any program in the country and what it takes to win. And so when you start looking at the character, of guys, that starts to be a separator. And character to me means competitiveness, and it means the decisions that they make. Everything in their life is built around being an elite player at an elite program. And it's something I've learned quickly here, that how much our program means to our players. Devin Fontenot, key piece of our team that I hope returns next year, and how much LSU baseball means to him. Gavin Dugas, same kind of thing. And I really want those guys to be a part of what we're doing and start a great foundation here that's continuing a great tradition and only adding on to that and expanding on to that. And those are two guys that have a chance to leave a great legacy by the type of competitor they are, the type of people they are, and the type of player they are. And so that will help us in our mission of moving the program where we want it to go.